Meeting will come to order, please. Not yet, guys.
We might have to have Rich stand for a full hour.
Take the picture.
Simon says.
Total man. Joanna, please read a statement of compliance.
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual meeting notice was sent to the press of Atlantic City, Star Ledger, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, the municipal website, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk. Please turn off all cell phones.
Thank you. Let's all please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
For all. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here?
Commissioner Blumberg?
I am here.
Thank you. Our items for discussion. First, recreation fee changes. Andrew, you want to walk us through that, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we haven't updated our fees since 2012, so we were looking to update some of our fees. We're not looking to drastically increase any pricing for anything. We're just trying to get things in line with the costs that are coming into us now. With the labor costs are up, supply costs are up. So we're just trying to raise things a little bit. And if you'll notice in our program fees, it gives us a range so that we can, we have so many different programs that we have a range that we can charge for those programs.
Okay. Any questions?
Mayor, I have a
John?
question. Andrew, I had a concern with under A that our pavilion, Martin Bloom Community Pavilion, the first and second floor party. How many parties do we have during the course of a year?
Two,
2?
3?
Okay, so I just think the $500 for up to 4 hours, most parties are what, 2 hours, 3 hours?
2 to 3. I mean, there's usually some setup
Right.
before and cleanup after.
Right, but aren't the individuals that rent the room responsible for following up and cleaning up behind themselves?
Yes.
You're the professional, I'm just going on your recommendations, but I do believe, and I feel personally, that the $500 is a little stiff. I would say that it would be more reasonable, even if we lowered it down to $250 for up to 2 hours, and then the $50 for each additional hour, and to include a deposit of $150 or $200 or whatever the cost for cleanup is, if we have to bring a professional in afterwards to finalize the cleanup. But I'm pretty certain that most people that use that do follow through and clean up behind themselves.
Yeah, we haven't had to bring in a professional. Many years ago, there was a lot more events there, but once we don't allow alcohol in there now, so.
Are you
that
sure
was-
about that?
So a lot of those weddings, bridal showers, things like that have gone away.
Okay,
So back then we were bringing in professional cleaners, but we don't have to do that now.
but I would still hold the security deposit just
Mhm.
until you clear, or whoever's there, Mary Ann or Sue, clear that it's fine.
Mhm.
Would you agree to that?
Yeah,
Because it's mostly Margate residents using the building, right?
yes.
Are you any?
I'm good with the 250. If Andrew's good with that,
I'm good.
I think that's okay.
So 250, 2 hours and 50 each additional?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor, are you all right with that?
I'm okay with that, yeah, absolutely. Any other questions for Andrew? Marty?
Good.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Mr. Dennis, please.
Yes, sir. All right, item A is our dredging project, the citywide dredging permit. We have received some correspondence from DEP, so they are going through the dredging permit application documents. Suzanne Biggins sent us an email about a week and a half ago. We gave her some additional information. We've also received some emails from the Tidelands group pertaining to our dredging project, so they're definitely working through the application documents. I mentioned at the last meeting that we had our JPP meeting for the Shelter Island Salt Marsh Restoration Project, which is on the parallel track as our alternate and preferred disposal site for the dredging project. We had a discussion at the last commission meeting on how to proceed as far as getting the entire long-term project permitted, or just proceeding with a phase one permitting application to fill that dredge hole up to the existing bay floor. And the direction that was provided at the last meeting, and we are proceeding in this fashion, was to just proceed with the phase one permit application, which will be the much more efficient approach on this. So that's how we are proceeding, and we are in the process of scheduling a formal pre-application meeting, although that seems redundant. We are having the pre-app meeting with the DEP, the state DEP, to officially kick off that application process. So we are making progress on both fronts on the dredging program, and I will continue to provide updates as we hear back from the agencies. Item C is the additional flood mitigation work at this building. The same update that we've had on this, although we did have our capital meeting earlier this week, and we're looking at putting this project into our upcoming capital budget, and we will continue to pursue FEMA funding for the additional funds that are needed to pay for this project. We do have $86,000 and change allocated through FEMA. So we want to keep this project moving. We want to get it back out to bid, and on a parallel track, we will continue to pursue FEMA reimbursement. This would be a reimbursement fund. So we are moving ahead there. You'll probably see a resolution on an upcoming agenda to rebid that project. The next 4 projects are the work over at Sig Rim, which there's really no update here other than we're at a point where these projects are either in the 2022 capital budget or will be programmed into the 2023 capital budget. So we are moving ahead, and we will be in a position to bid these projects perhaps at different points in time, but to get the work done before the upcoming summer season. Turning the page, item H is our 2022 State Aid Road, Winchester Avenue from Douglas to Exeter. Engineering on this is complete. We just have some final revisions to make on the drafting of the plans, and then we'll be able to get this project ready for bidding. Similar status on the next item, which is the 2022 road program, including Jefferson, Gladstone, and some work out here at Washington and Ventnor. So the engineering is in progress on that, and that will follow suit with Winchester Avenue. So once that's ready to go, we'll have a resolution on to authorize the advertisement. So on item J, the roof project over at the library, we've touched on this at the last couple meetings. We were reaching out to a cooperative that we've used in the past over at the school and on buildings here for the city to get some pricing to do the roof in an alternate manner. Where we are now is we have bids that we received in October that will be expiring in the next week or so. And given the fact that we are still working with the co-op to get some additional cost information, our recommendation is to reject the bids that were received back in October. I believe there is a resolution on the agenda today for that. And once we have all the information that we need from the co-op, at that point, we can make an informed decision on whether to proceed with the co-op or potentially go back out to bid if we want to give it another shot on the bid process for the work on the library roof. So it is on the agenda today to reject the bids. Item K, we have some updates on our grant applications. We have a running list of projects here that are either been submitted for grant funding, have been awarded, or are in the queue for grant opportunities. 2 updates for this month. The Adams Avenue Pump Station project was submitted to the Ocean Wind Trust, and we received notice, I guess last week or this week, I can't remember what it was, that the trust has awarded $446,880 for the Adams Avenue Pump Station project, which is fantastic news. And our grant consultant, Jim Rotella, is working on the larger piece of the funding pie through FEMA. And the hope here is if we are successful, then we will have the majority of those project costs covered by outside grant funding, which would be great. So that was a big news for us, and we're excited about that. And then the other update is we did receive what I'll call informal notification that our grant application for the next section of Winchester Avenue from Claremont to Douglas has been awarded $156,980 through the NJDOT fiscal year 23 state aid program. So that will go towards the capital work on Winchester Avenue. That'll be part of the next capital budget. So 2 additional grants since our last meeting, and we hope to have some more as we move forward. Under the miscellaneous engineering item, there's really no update other than we did have, and I'm sure others will be touching on that today, capital project meeting earlier this week, and we discussed the engineering projects that are being considered as part of that budget. And there were some projects that are already funded in some form through the budget that we'll be moving forward on the engineering side. So we'll be getting proposals over to Rich and Lisa for those projects. I'll be meeting with Jim sometime in the next couple weeks to go over the CRS process for 2023 to make sure we keep everything up to date and keep our level status where it needs to be going forward. Down to our construction project report, we have cleared out our open maintenance bond list for 2022. So all of the maintenance bonds that were set to expire have been inspected and released. On our closeout list, we did receive, or I shouldn't say we received, we did get the anniversary inspection completed on the Benson Avenue tank. We're just waiting on that final report so we can close that project out. HVAC at the Margate Library, there's no update. The HVAC equipment was last scheduled to shift on December 7th. So we will check in with the contractor to see if that is still the schedule, and that work will be completed before the roof project is completed. So once we have a confirmed shipment date, we'll add it to the report. Over at the municipal building, contractor's making really good progress there. You read on the report that we have a lot of the work complete as far as electrical, lighting, ceiling tiles, fire alarm system, all nearly complete. There's painting, there's the architectural panels are going up, and then the floors will follow suit. And then, of course, we also have the HVAC component of that project that we're waiting on the equipment to get that project buttoned up. Last page on the 2021 road program, the contractor is working over on Mansfield Avenue. The water main and sanitary sewer main are complete, and the sewer laterals are in progress, as well as the concrete work, which has started over on Mansfield. And we will also be working on the police parking lot as part of this work. Once the work on Mansfield is done, the tentative schedule is to have everything base paved in January and final paved in April. Item R is the 2022 curb and gutter program, which we are waiting for a schedule from the contractor to get that work started. The item S is the current phase of our bulkhead cut-throughs on the beach end at Knight Avenue and Union Avenue. Contractor's making good progress there. And then the last item on the list here is the water meter replacement program, phase 1. We've discussed this at prior meetings. It is going through a funding process through the iBank, and once we are where we need to be, we can get a pre-construction meeting kicked off. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for it while we're still here?
I do have a question.
Please go ahead.
I received an email from Lisa earlier this week in reference to the floodgate, the last floodgate that was never installed. I think she said there's $12,000 encumbered for that. I had a meeting with Jim Galantino yesterday at Lamberti's, and I know we've paid for that floodgate. Am I correct? It's in Joe Stewart's possession.
Oh, you mean for the actual material, for the floodgate?
Yeah, the floodgate itself
I would have to confirm that.
was a part of, I believe it was a part, well, I'm pretty sure Joe has that floodgate.
I know he does have it in his possession.
And I'm pretty sure we paid for it.
Right.
So what I told Lamberti yesterday is, because he's played around for 3.5 years now, it's going to be his responsibility to do the labor to install it, which he would use Joe's personnel, which is who installed it for us throughout the course of the promenade.
Right.
So are you all right with that? she
Yes.
can release those funds?
I believe that was the intention, what you just described was the intention, was that Lamberti would be responsible for the installation.
Okay,
So, yeah.
perfect.
Yep.
And I told him that yesterday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's on. Here,
Any further questions? Maury?
Joanne.
Thank you, Ed. Okay, let's go to department head reports, please. Why don't we start with Mr. Abbott today?
Couple things. We have upcoming, we're going to have the Lucy Committee, I believe it's going to be January 5th, make a presentation to you. They have come up with a plan to come up with an instructional center at the Lucy Park. This will entail I've been in contact with our Green Acres people, Jessica Patterson, who has sent me various documents that they want us to follow a procedure, public notice. Ed Dennis's office has been handling, I believe, most of the application with the DEP. We will have to have a public hearing on it eventually. One of the first things that has to happen is that they make the presentation to you, the governing body. It is City of Margate property, so ultimately you're going to have to consent to this new instructional center. They want to make other changes at the park. And I think, if I saw the email correctly, perhaps January 5th, was it, Commissioner Amadeo? I think we're going to try to do it then.
I don't know if we have enough time because I
Maybe not.
believe there's a 30-day notice and a
No.
2-week period. Oh, for the.
For your
presentation.
decision.
Okay, yeah.
And then we would do that, once you guys give it the green light, if you do.
Yeah, the 5th of January would be fine
So
for that presentation.
that's pretty solid.
And we have a meeting tomorrow, so we can discuss that, set that date up.
Right, so we're moving forward with it, and that's a good thing. Some of you might recall at 2 meetings ago, a citizen came in, very prominent citizen, very concerned about water pipes in Margate, and this went over the internet. I know I had several people want to know if they were possibly getting lead poison from Margate's water system, and I am happy to tell you I've investigated this. And the fact is, I brought back with me the pipe that citizen brought to our public hearing to question. He thought maybe it was lead, and here's the good news. It's not lead, it's iron. This is a magnet that I'm hitting here. So we know that this pipe that someone mistakenly, fortunately, it's not lead. Your water is safe. This is not Flint, Michigan. It's Margate, New Jersey. And I know as we're doing all the rest of them, I've investigated it, and I want everyone's minds, the rest of these is not lead. At least this pipe's not lead. I'm not saying there's not a lead pipe somewhere in the city of Margate, but it wasn't this pipe. And there's my evidence, Exhibit A. That's what us lawyers do. We get evidence and documents. And, ooh, that's a strong little sucker. I got this in the hardware store.
And I believe you should put on the record, Scott,
There it is.
that is from the curb to the residence.
Correct.
That wasn't in our public right-of-way.
Well, wherever they had it, it ain't lead. So the good news is it's iron.
We can drink to that,
And
right?
we can, I'm gonna start drinking water again from the fountain. So I feel good about it.
Good.
I know others will as well. And all those in Margate that were concerned that it was lead, it is not lead. And at least not on that street. That's not lead. So that's it. That's basically all I have. I think we're heading towards the end of the year here.
Thank you, Scott.
That's what we have.
Pat, you're next. Welcome back.
Thank you. The last couple weeks, we had our paper shredding event 2 weeks ago. We had about 75 cars, which is about 10 cars worth from Longport. And we've been catching up with all of our meters installed. We finally got caught up the other day. Getting the trucks ready for the winter. They're almost done. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Jim?
Just business as usual in the building department. That's all I have to report.
Roger?
Scott, you can keep the pipe, I don't want it.
I was gonna hand it back to you after this meeting. No,
You have a tetanus shot?
And the historical
I do.
society.
Okay.
I was the one that had to deliver it.
that's right, he delivered. But look, we investigated, we didn't ignore it.
Right, exactly.
Somebody brought this concern up, we had to address it.
We received bids this week, 2 landscape bids, one for Marvin Gardens and a Parkway section, and the other bid was for the remaining areas. We're going through the process now, reviewing the bids, make sure the math is correct and all the paperwork. required has been submitted, as well as the cleaning and video of sewer lines in the city. So we'll be prepared for the next meeting to recommendation of award a contract. Planning board, we have 2 cases at the next meeting, which is a nice change from the 8 or 9 we've been getting. Reorg meeting is in January, and that with some cases pending for that meeting as well. Zoning, as Jimmy said, it's business as usual. It hasn't slowed down at all. It's still continuing quite a bit, and as you can imagine, we're getting a lot of pool permits now because it's pool season now. Zoning, so a couple things I want to start looking at next year is front yard setback requirements to go with a fixed number. It might be different per block instead of the average, which lends itself to many, many problems. And as Ed indicated, the water meter project, we are working now with ongoing correspondence and project documents being submitted, and hopefully we can get that going. And it's about a 2-year project. That's all I have.
Thank you, Rick. Rich,
Good afternoon. We spoke about earlier today about the recreation fee ordinance, and that's on your agenda as well for the 4 o'clock meeting. There are some recommendations that were made as far back as September, some from the finance office relative to other miscellaneous fees that the finance department recommends that we do adjust. I remember sending a memo to all of you, and I'd like you to either review that memo or ask for it again so that we can present another ordinance for other miscellaneous fees prior to or in January for sure, for the 2023 year. At the next meeting, which is our last scheduled meeting of the year, you will have some individual employment contracts for professionals that are being renewed at this point, and some information has been sent to you already. I'd like to get some feedback from each of you, and so we can finalize that in time for the next meeting so that payroll can have all that information for pay in January. Virtually all of our employees, when you finish that process, will be under contract for the 2023 year. The only group that is not is the Beach Patrol, but they're in ongoing discussions through Beach Patrol Captain and Dan Adams, the Fire Chief. I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
yeah, we'll be home early today. Huh? Ron?
Wait a minute, we haven't gone through police yet.
Just a reminder that we're going to have our annual toy drive, and it'll be on the 16th of December from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Jerome Avenue ball fields. And I just want to acknowledge Detective Erin Borelli. She puts in a lot of tireless work organizing this event to make it a success. She does a really good job. And that's all I really have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ron. Lisa?
Good afternoon, thank you. Couple things I have very quickly. I think Jimmy made light of his business as usual because I just got the numbers through the end of November. And the construction office has taken in over $887,000 through November this year, which is $185,000 more than the same time last year. And at last year, it was probably over $150,000 from the prior year. So his office and his staff is doing a great job, and so they've been busy for sure, because I could tell by the numbers. Also, as I had informed you via email, you know that we closed on our 2022 bond anticipation notes for $20 million. The successful bidder, Oppenheimer, had requested that we obtain an upgrade on our bond rating, or our short-term rating, at their cost, which was $5,500. So it was no cost to the city, and we were able to get an update on our rating. They were looking for the short-term rating in particular, for the underwriters that they use, but they also viewed our long-term rating. Our short-term rating, as I had indicated, we came in at the highest rating, which is SB1 plus, I believe, which is excellent. It just shows that, we have a very strong credit worthiness and an excellent financial ability to repay our financial commitments. Our long-term rating, which has been excellent over the past several years, and which is AA plus, that remained the same. And I just want to read a couple of their items that they pointed out in their rationale for our rating that they had indicated, which is, indicative of the excellent job that everyone in this room does. We have a wealthy residential economy with a steady assessed valuation, which has shown growth over the last 5 years. Disciplined and reliable financial management policies and planning and strong institutional framework. A strong trend of positive budgetary performance, enabling growth and reserve levels that have almost doubled fund balance between fiscal years 2021 and fiscal 2017. And also a manageable debt burden that they consider low as a % of market value, with a debt management schedule that is informal, though has been traditionally followed. So that was excellent news for the city. We received the funds yesterday. We closed on it. They've been deposited and recorded. And the 2020 notes are scheduled to be repaid on December 14th, which I have initiated. Lastly, to add to the police department report, I just want to mention there's a couple retirements coming up of officers, Shane Koneski and Larry Dickerson. And then February 1, we have a longtime firefighter of Fred Cowain. So I think they both deserve acknowledgement for their years of service to the city. And that's all I have. Thank you. Oh, and I'm just still working on budget. I received everybody's budgets by yesterday, so I'm in the process of compiling that. One last thing I want to mention is our auditor for 2022, which is the 2021 year, he'll be in tomorrow to audit the beach tags, which there's no discrepancy there. I reviewed that again this morning. And then they will be back next year to actually perform the rest of the audit. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mayor, can I have one thing? Can the mic back again?
You may.
Joe Stewart just called. He said he does have that valve, but he said Luciano's fighting him about the location of it. So
It's not his pick on the location. It goes according to the blueprints on the design of the promenade.
he wants to install it.
What?
He does want to install it. He's been coordinating through Ed Dennis. Maybe we should have a meeting down
But
there.
on Ed's plans, there was a specific area where the floodgate went,
Right,
and a platform, fourth pile had to be driven.
right.
If not, he's got to get approval from our city engineer.
Well, should we make him aware of that somehow?
I made him aware of it yesterday.
Okay. But Joe said he's ready to do an install, but doesn't know where to put it.
I'm going to tell him.
There is a plan,
Thank you,
right?
Mayor.
I'll tell him.
Oh, and that check for $126,000, I gotta give it back?
This is. Whatever.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Whatever. I won't say anything. Andrew?
So, thank you, Mayor. We're been very, very busy getting basketball started in the rec department. We have over 200 players playing in our recreation and travel basketball. So they've been getting started over the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to give you a playground update. The small playground that we just installed at Lucy, there's some issues with the rubber, so we contacted the company and they need to come back down before we can open that up. There's some little like bubbles essentially, so they need to smooth those out. But otherwise it's ready to be open, so hopefully within the next week or so we can get that open. The Vendome Avenue playground, as happens with most of the playgrounds I build, they're missing a part. So they said it's gonna be about 2 weeks. Once they come back and install that part, then they can put the rubber surfacing on top. Right now, they have rubber mulch, so technically, we could open it once it's completed with the rubber mulch, which we may have to do if it gets too cold, because they can't pour the rubber unless it's 50 degrees overnight. So that might be difficult in December and January. So we may be stuck with that rubber mulch for a couple months, but we can open the playground because that's a legal surface to get it open. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, that one's open as well. We're just waiting on the part. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Andrew. Chief Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I was unable to attend the luncheon and employee appreciation yesterday. I want to thank the mayor, commissioners, and administration, and especially Lisa for putting that all together. And our guys are very happy with the gift that was provided. One of my personnel was wearing it all around the station today. He said, "Chief, I'm just wearing it here. I'm not wearing it out." Like, that's good. Secondly, we're coming into our Christmas holiday season, and I want to remind everyone, if you have a live tree, make sure you water it on a daily basis. Make sure you're using proper lights and you check them for no frays or anything in the cords. And just be safe, don't plug extra things into outlets that are not designed for that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact the fire department. And thank you again to Erin Borelli for everything she's done. It's unbelievable. The amount of people involved this year is tenfold compared to years past. So it's going to be a really great event on December 16th. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Joanna?
All's good in the clerk's office.
Oh, good. Okay. John or Maury, anything?
I'm good.
I have a couple of things that have already been said, but I want to say them again. Special thanks to Lisa and the entire team for the event yesterday. I think it was very nice. I heard nothing but great things about it. Thanks to Hannah G's, I think, who provided the food. I didn't get to eat, but everybody was eating and it looked great. So I think we should make that an annual event. It was just really, really nice. And it wasn't a holiday party, it was just a thank you. So it was a nice thing. Another thank you to Pat and Frank and the Public Works team for, Mike Mack, the great job that we do over at the rec complex with the holiday lighting. Every year, it continues to impress. So thanks for that special effort. And other than that, I'm excited for the grant money that has come through. That's like close to $1 million in the last 3 that we got. So we'll certainly be able to put that money to good use and get some of these projects done. So good. And finally, another thanks to Andrew for all the hard work that he's putting in on getting these playgrounds upgraded. And I think we have one left to do, and then we'll have to find somewhere to build another one. That's all I have.
Andrew put his hands up.
Yeah, there already is a playground there.
Andrew,
That's all I have, Mike.
Andrew, you'll appreciate this, a bit of brevity. A resident, an elderly woman came by and said, "Why are you putting pickleball courts in the Vendor Matthew playground?" I said, "Well," she said, "that's the rumor in the area." I said, "Hold, slow down."
Take anything down or put a truck there and they say, "Are you going to put pickleball courts there?"
She read that on the buzz.
John, anything?
No, I'm good, Mike.
Okay, guys, we will now open for public comment. Any items that was discussed here today? Nanette is here, but no other public, unfortunately. Nanette, would you like to? 10 minutes you have.
Oh, we forced
To
her.
thank that great big firefighter.
Name and address, please.
Nanette Galloway, 349 Buffalo, Egg Harbor City. I wanted to thank that big firefighter who picked me up off the ground when I tripped over a fire hose last week. Was that you? Oh my God, he just picked
I think
me
it was
right
Joe
up. I was
Costa.
like, he snapped all the vertebrae. I was like, I felt so good.
And my lawyer's name
Yeah,
is.
a lot. Thanks.
Is there a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes?
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Is there any last chance, any other comments? Motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes?
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.